Good.
Is that one on as well?
They're both on.
It's got a red light on it.
They're both on.
All right, good evening, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for your time. I know that everybody has busy lives, and taking some time out to come to this is something I appreciate. My name is Mr. Bollinger. I'm the 8th grade social studies teacher here at Lewiston-Porter Middle School. I think this is my 27th year, I'm not even sure, but I've been here for a long time. And it seems like for as long as I've been here, I've been taking kids to Washington, D.C. Next year will be my 14th time taking students to D.C. So if you came in and you took a look at this, you got a chance to see me age a little bit. And some of you might have seen your children or maybe even yourselves in those pictures. What I want to do tonight is give you an idea of what the trip's about, what it costs. There's no commitment here. This is just to tell you what's involved and why it's kind of valuable. I've been doing it all these years, quite honestly, because it's probably the most rewarding thing I do as a teacher. I'm a social studies teacher and I loved history as a kid, and having the opportunity to take kids to the site where a lot of it happened is a fantastic thing. I've had kids stand on the steps where Martin Luther King Jr. gave his I Have a Dream speech and recite the speech. I've had kids go into the Holocaust Museum and meet survivors and talk to survivors. I've had kids go to the World War II Memorial, and next year might be the last time this can ever happen, and get a chance to say thank you to a World War II veteran. One of the things I've noticed year after year is there are fewer and fewer left. So it really is an opportunity to teach history and make it come alive outside of the classroom. One of the things I've seen doing this so long is I've seen kids come back and say, hey, Mr. B, I joined the Marines. You know why? It was that Washington trip. Or, hey, Mr. B, I became a history teacher. It was that Washington trip. Or, hey, Mr. B, I'm going to China in the high school. That might be a bad thing to say right now. But it was because of that Washington trip. So that's why we do this. So my role here is I started doing this in 1993 when I started. The trip started in 73. I've been running it solo since 2000. This might be my last time. This is Mrs. Zimmerman here. She's like the apprentice in waiting. She's here to see what's involved in it. The largest group that I've ever taken was 120. That was in 2001. The smallest was 60 in 2003. That was after 9/11, and a lot of parents were nervous about letting their kids travel. And last year we took 106. So that's how many kids went on the trip. Yeah, it was last year, because we'll be traveling next year. The biggest thing about this trip, for me, is to bring your kids home safe. Taking anywhere from 60 to 120 kids to Washington, D.C. that are in 7th and 8th grade is a huge responsibility. And I don't want you to think that I take that lightly. It's a big, big deal. So the whole trip is built around that. That's the number one thing. Since the very beginning, the idea is to get these kids to see as much as Washington as possible in the safest way as possible. The idea is to spend less time sitting on buses and waiting in lines and more time experiencing and learning. To facilitate that and negate cost to the district, the program has essentially been run the same for the last 45 years. It's chaperoned by teachers who are familiar with the students. They volunteer, donating their time and talents during a weekend in May plus a day. So we go on a Saturday, Sunday, come back on a Monday. Safety is concern number one, especially with this age group. For most of these kids, it's their first time, extended time away from their families. Most of these 12 and 13-year-olds. Arranging the experience through an educational travel company provides added protections. All right, so this isn't me taking the kids down on a bus, and I'll tell you why I don't do that in a minute. We get assistance at the airport with all these kids. We have 24/7 on-site representatives at the hotel. Nighttime security guards in the hall of the hotel, because at night, after they've been going all day, and we've been going all day, we need to sleep too. So the tour company actually provides guards who sit in the hallway on chairs with books, they're usually college students, and make sure that those kids do not try to leave their rooms at night when they go in there at night. They're there, I say goodnight to them at night, and when I wake up in the morning, I say goodbye to them in the morning, and that makes sure that the children are safe. There's accident insurance that's included with the cost of the trip. There are doctors on call who will come to the hotel if we need them. There's 24/7 emergency assistance in Washington, D.C. God forbid something happened in Washington, any kind of a terrorist thing or anything like that. They have people there on the ground that would assist us. There's support from staff there, and so that's that part of it. The immediate benefits that I see as a teacher: these kids experience hands-on learning. All right, they are like living the history. It really comes alive for them. They get a deeper perspective on it than I can ever give them in the classroom. I mean, hearing about World War II from a veteran or hearing about the Holocaust from a survivor, that's something I can't duplicate. It increases their curiosity. One of the things I'm going to warn you about is when they come back, if they haven't traveled a lot, they're going to want to travel more. All right? It is almost a feeder program to the program into the high school when they travel. And for a lot of these kids, they make lifelong friendships. One of the side benefits that I've seen is, I see kids who are together all year long and never talk to each other. And they come back after a weekend in Washington and they're friends for life. And it's just something that happens on this trip. It's hard to explain. Sometimes there are even little middle school romances that happen. But it's hard to explain. We make sure they don't go too far, but you walk around, wait a second. Why are those two together all the time? The cost. This is the elephant in the room, so I want to spell it out for you. The cost of the 2021 program is $1,199. It's no increase since 2019. It's a $39 increase since 2017. In addition to the added safety and security that I talked about earlier, this is what it includes. It is an all-inclusive price. Your child literally does not need a penny with them unless they're buying souvenirs, okay? It includes round-trip airfare to Washington, D.C., 2 nights hotel accommodations, all meals and snacks, charter buses to and from the airport, charter buses for 3 days in Washington, D.C. that essentially become our home, certified tour directors who go with us. I mean, I know a lot about Washington, having done this for so many years. But these guys who are on our buses, I mean, they become like superheroes to these kids. Hotel on-site coordinator who makes sure that everything's set with all of our rooms or if we have any problems. Admission fees to any of the attractions that require them. Entertainment night, which I'll talk about a little bit later. We've done all kinds of different things. Something we did last year for the first time is what I think we're going to do next year. Suggested donations at various sites. Some sites are free, but they ask for a donation. They chip in on behalf of Lewiston-Porter. A group photograph. All of your kids will get one of those at the end in a Discovery Journal. All gratuities are included, and all of the booking, reservations, appointments, and itinerary and planning fees. That's what the tour company does. That's not me making 1,000 phone calls. Okay, on top of that, and something that's probably pretty topical right now, they offer a full refund guarantee program. It's trip insurance. The tour company charges $159 for the trip insurance, and with that you can cancel at any time for any reason. You are able to cancel without it in like a sliding scale. Like 6 months before you get this percentage back, 4 months before you get this percentage back, and then almost like 3 months. I don't want to pin this down exactly, but there's a deadline when you're just on the hook and you don't get it back. So that's something that each family needs to think about individually. I know traveling is a big question with what's going on right now. Thank God the trip's not this year, because if I had hair, I'd pull it out. But it's something that everybody needs to consider. But that's your own individual decision. Registration begins a year in advance. So if you make a deposit by March 25th, and I think the deposit's $49 or $50, it says it in your packet, you get a discount. All right, that's the discounted price that I put up there. The price would go up after that. And they set up a payment plan with you. You don't bring any money to the school. All right, they will bill you either on a credit card or you set up a payment through them, and they'll send you a monthly statement, just like a car payment, or however you would do that. This provides, planning it a year ahead, provides families with an opportunity over the course of the next 1+ years to participate in optional fundraisers. If you didn't get one of these on the way in, we are beginning our Boston Coffee Cake fundraiser tomorrow. take advantage of the payment plan and or to plan and budget with their children as they see fit. Different families do different things. I've had kids tell me that, oh man, I got to do all these chores now to help pay for Washington. Or, you know, my grandfather gave me money for my birthday, but it's going towards Washington. All right, so the fundraisers are part of it. I have had children, usually there's one every year, who pay for their whole trip with it. But they really hustle, and they really sell. On average, kids make anywhere from $50 to $100 a fundraiser, and we do 3 of them. So you can expect your child, if they put some effort into it, to make, I'd say, $150 to $300, that they can knock it off. The way it works is when you bring that money into the school totals it up, and we send a check to the tour company, World Strides, and they knock that off your bill. We send an itemized check and a list of which kid made what percent on each fundraiser, and that's how it works. They fundraise individually, not for the program. So whatever your child makes fundraising goes to the bill of the trip. Some of the things we sold in the past are holiday wreaths, Yankee candles. We sold our own coffee blend, the pizza snacks, but by far and away our most popular fundraiser is the Boston coffee cakes. All right, I might do that 3 times. They sell like crazy. They've kind of got a reputation in the area now because we've been doing it for so long. People wait for them, so you can move these. I promise you'll be able to sell them. Why do we fly? Because this is the #1 question I get all the time. It comes down to safety. Again, my main concern about doing the program differently than taking a bus, than some schools do, relates to supervision, security, and learning experiences. Flying all but eliminates the chances of somebody trying to bring something that they shouldn't bring in their luggage. And we do have kids who do that, or have done that. I remember early in my career here at Newport, when we were going to Quebec, we had a student who brought an illegal substance over the border to Canada. And it nearly ruined the whole trip. Our bus got held up there for almost 8 hours. The student, we had to call the student's parents. We had trouble with customs. It was a nightmare. With this, with flying, the TSA takes care of all of that for me. Their bags go through the TSA. They go through X-ray machines, and that's never an issue. I couldn't also, in good conscience, promise full supervision on a bus full of 100 kids or 2 buses full of 100 kids for the 8 to 9 to sometimes 12 hours, depending on construction, it might take us. I feel like I'd be inviting problems on the bus. On the plane flight's about 1 hour and 15 minutes. You're up, we land at BWI in Baltimore, and then you're down. So it's a quick trip, it's fun for the kids. A lot of them have never flown before, so it adds an exciting element to it, bringing them through the airport. I plan the trip in such a fashion that students are always busy. There is little to no downtime to get in any kind of trouble. As it exists, it runs very efficiently, and as you're going to see, they're always on the go, always learning something new with little or no time to get in trouble. So here's the trip in a nutshell. So day 1, it's Saturday, May 1st, next year. They are going to get up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning probably. We are going to meet here in front of the middle school at 3 or 4 a.m. So you will get them up, they'll have their bags packed, you will drop them off, give them a hug and a kiss, and goodbye. They're getting on the charter bus, they wave to you, and they're off. We get to the airport, we try to get there by 5 a.m. because our flight out is usually at 6 or 6:30. And getting 100 kids to the airport takes some time, so we need to make sure we build some time in. We take a charter bus to the airport and a plane to the Capitol. Then, when we get there, a representative is waiting for us. He's going to introduce us to our bus drivers and basically our new home for the next 3 days. All right, each group, and we usually have 2, sometimes 3 buses, will have a driver, a tour director, and a bus. That was my driver from a couple trips ago. He was one of my most recent ones. His name is Abe, and these guys are fantastic. They are teachers, they are comedians, they are safety patrol, they are entertainers. This guy, he had a brother who was in a rock and roll Hall of Fame band called the Dells. Okay, I don't know if anybody's heard of them. But they were like a doo-wop group from the 50s. So our whole trip, we're singing on the bus. And the kids are singing like My Girl and all this stuff. And for the kids, some of them, they like the bus more than they like the sights. I mean, it's an added part of the trip. Then, our first stop is Mount Vernon. We're right there when George Washington opens his house, and we're first in line. There are the kids in George Washington's backyard. We visit George Washington's tomb. There's George, there's Martha. We go to the Mount Vernon Interactive Education Center. There's a lot of hands-on things for the kids to do in there and experience and learn about the colonial period in American history. And we'll have lunch at Union Station. Most of our lunches are at big food courts, like food courts that you would see in a mall. And kids will get a voucher. So we know kids like all different kinds of food. So they'll get a voucher, and that voucher will have like 10, 15, 20 restaurants on it. And each one will have a deal. If you go to Sparrow, you get 2 slices of pizza and a drink. If you go to the Chinese buffet, you get this, this, and this. If you go to Subway, you get your sub and your chips and your drink. And so the kids get an opportunity to choose. And the chaperones kind of spread out. They go with their friends. They don't go anywhere alone. We're in a contained area. We come back and eat our lunch in the same spot. That's typically how the lunches work. Then we go to the Capitol. And this is an itinerary from a past trip, so it might be in a different order. For a tour of the Capitol building, that's inside the rotunda. There's me and a couple kids. You can see we've got the headphones on. Last tour, they speak to you in different, whatever language you speak, you set it to, and it takes you through and guides you through the tour. There are some 7th graders catching their breath because now they're tired. It's like, just past lunchtime and they've been up since 3 a.m. We go to the Supreme Court. There are some of our students on the Supreme Court.